Hi, Clint Coons here with Anderson Business Advisors, and in this video we're going to discuss how to hold raw land when it comes to investing. All right, so you have raw land. Now what are you going to do with it when it comes to holding it long-term or short-term? Well, most individuals are going to want to take and hold raw land in a limited liability company. Now, from a threat standpoint, I would say with land, the threats are pretty low. So you might even put a few parcels in one LLC. It's a lot different than when you have single family homes or multifamily, where we're going to want to separate those out. With raw land, it's not likely somebody's going to hurt themselves unless there's something on there that you know about that I won't discover if I'm walking across your property. There's not going to be a lot of liability. Where I've actually seen liability for landholders before is where people will go out and dump stuff on their land that they can't take to the garbage dump because they won't accept it. So let's say they have a bunch of chemicals. They know that it's going to either cost them a ton of money to dump off those chemicals, or maybe they can't dispose of them at all. Well, where's the next best place? Find somebody's property and go out there and dump them there. So that can always be a problem. So you can get environmental contamination that can hurt you. But that's far and few between. The thing is here, with the raw land, what I'm concerned about is outside liability, not inside. That it's doubtful something's going to happen here. Where I'm concerned about is something happening out here with me, that I get sued individually. So with the raw land, of course, it's going to stay protected inside of the LLC. I want to protect it from my personal liability claims. So you'd set up the LLC oftentimes in the state where the property is located. If you don't want anybody to know that you're owning that LLC indirectly as a member or directly as a member, what you should do then is create a Wyoming LLC down here and have the Wyoming LLC own this LLC. Let's assume that this LLC here is an Illinois LLC. It would be owned 100% by my Wyoming, and then I'm going to be down here owning the Wyoming LLC. So this gives me some anonymity of ownership here. So you're holding on to this raw land. Then the question is, what are you going to do with it? Because there's going to come a time when either you're going to develop it yourself, or you're maybe going to sell it off to someone, or maybe you're going to lease it out for oil and gas, or you're going to put windmills on it. Who knows? But once it starts to show that you're going to utilize that property, that's when we need to decide what to do with it. So if all you were going to do was just sell the parcel outright to someone else, fine. You could sell right out of this LLC, not an issue. Let's assume that you want to do some work on it. You decide, hey, I'm going to bust this property up here like this, turn it into a bunch of lots, and I'm either going to sell the lots to developers, or else I'm just going to do the development myself. Well, here's the problem. If you start pushing dirt on those properties, then you're going to take what was a long-term hold investment and you're going to convert it to ordinary income, because now you're going to become a dealer with that property. Now, there are some rules. You can do less than 5 lots and it won't apply, but if you're going to do more than that, then you're at risk. And so when does that land change from being just raw land to dealer property? The day you go in and start doing dirt work and start modifying that property. So when you have raw land, what you need to do, if you're going to develop it yourself, or even if you brought in utilities and pushed roads in and then sold it to someone else, you're going to convert it to dealer property. So what you should do then is create a corporation over here. Create a corp. This could be C or S. And then what you'll do is you'll sell your land, undeveloped, raw land, haven't done anything yet, to your corporation on an installment sale. Installment sale here. Now, by doing this, you're going to lock in long-term capital gains rate. So let's say the property right here is worth $400,000. Well, I'll sell it for $400,000. And if you want to get a little more income out of that deal, it's passive income back to you, because once it gets over here and you start doing work, it's going to convert it to active. You could also put in this installment sale agreement, you can put in contingent interest, which means it's a participating note that you'll make a little extra interest when the property sells, so you get maybe 20% on top of that when the property sells in exchange for deferring collection on this installment note. So you can tweak the notes when you sell it to pump a few more bucks back over here. But the purpose of this is to tell you that with the raw land, you don't do anything over here, just keep it in its raw form. sell it to your corp that you own, and then start doing the dirt work over here. And so we're okay with it being dealer property inside the corporation. Because if I turn around, I did this dirt work here, and let's say I sold it off, and the total income I brought in from selling all of this was $650,000. Okay, I bought it from my LLC for $400,000, so that's my tax basis, $400K. That means my total gain to the corp is $250,000. That's active income. Now over here on the LLC side, since I sold it for $400K, if I originally purchased the property for $100,000, that's my tax basis, then I have $300,000 gain. That's at long-term capital gains rate, let's say at 20% on that amount there. This over here, depending on my tax bracket, let's say this is actually, it's going to be at 37% on that income. So by structuring it this way, I was able to take and save 37% on that $300,000, or 17% that is. So you do those numbers, you just saved $50-some thousand by moving this property from the LLC over to the corp to do the development. Okay? I do not charge $50,000 to create a corporation. Maybe I should, but anyways, that's how I would structure the raw land deal so that going forward, you're minimizing your taxes, and that's really, when it comes to raw land, what the other concern is. Now, let's assume that you're not going to be developing it, but you're going to put some windmills up on this property here for activity. So you can be leasing it out like this. All right, and these things are floating around out there. Now, do I leave it in here and keep collecting the revenue? Absolutely not. Here we're going to create a separate LLC for this property. Put it in this LLC over here. And again, you can have it held by that Wyoming LLC. Move that property over here and then enter into the agreement with the power company on those wind generator, on a wind farm here, to lease that property to them. The reason being is you don't want any liability that comes from that. And what could be some liability? Contamination that can come from it. And I know they're going to indemnify you for that. But what happens if they go out of business? And then it's your property. You're going to be left holding the bag there. So I would move that over. So whenever you're going to take it and put it into use, get it out of your, let's call it your land locker LLC, put it in a special purpose LLC at that point in time for those particular deals. My name is Clint Coons with Anderson Business Advisors, and in this video we talked about how to structure raw land.